First up, pastors on pedestals. I brought along my friend who is also a minister to do some co-moderating on this topic. I wanted to hear what people had to say in regards of putting pastors on these high pedestals in which a lot of times they fall from. So you're going to hear some comments that agree with it and some people who don't. So let's take a look. Okay, so I contacted Carla. I've known her for a very long time. I contacted her and we started a mini discussion. And one of the things that I think is personally a problem in churches, and this really is not just black churches, but just churches, is people putting pastors on pedestals. So that's what this is called, pastors on pedestals. And we are hearing so many more things taking place in the church that are just outrageous, whether it's affairs or little boys or whatever it is, drugs and homosexuality being covered up. And so I just think, I wonder how much of it is when we put our pastors on pedestals, how much of it plays into it. Carla has a pro and a con about it, right? Okay, so she's going to say her pro and her con, and you guys can have at it.
First, the pro. Ministers, I'll speak as ministers in general. There is this sense that we speak for God and people do look to us to share what God has to say to the world. So in a sense, the people would normally look up to us because we represent God. So the pro is that, okay, we are the representatives of God. We should be living the standard, that we preach and teach. However, we are also human beings. And there is no perfect human being living on the earth. And we struggle as ministers with the same issues that people in the congregation struggle with, or people on the street struggle with. And so we, no more than you, deserve to be high and lifted up. The perfect example is Jesus. He said to a man, he said, "Good teacher, what must I do to gain eternal life?" And Jesus said to him, "Why do you call me good? There's no one good but God." And so we should always look to God as the standard bearer, look to God or Jesus' example as the one to follow, but understand that the human beings speak as human beings while inspired by God, and they also live as human beings. And so we don't deserve to be lifted higher than you or higher than anyone because we have some of the same issues.
All right. Anybody agree with the fact that pastors should be put on some type of reverential pedestal?
We all have a different gift. And you go to your doctor for medical advice, you go to your lawyer for legal advice, and you go to your pastor for spiritual advice. Now, there are lawyers who break the law and doctors who don't take care of themselves, but that their gift is interpreting that particular subject. So in that case, yeah, they are a little bit higher than you because they have more knowledge, but then they can also come to you for the knowledge that you have, so we're all equal in that way. And I speak because my dad was a minister and he was very human, but so that's just my opinion.
And I also think that there's a mob mentality in the church, that we are not taught to question authority. The black church is not a place where if you question the minister, then you ain't a real Christian. You ain't really following the word, you know what I mean? Word for word. And the minister's up here, if you don't like gay marriage, then why do you like it? You ain't supposed to like gay marriage either. And that's how, and it's a mob mentality. I think a lot of people are afraid not to get up if everybody else is getting up and applauding Eddie Long.
Well, culturally, we are magnifying ministers. And sometimes spiritually, we have a blind eye, as with Eddie Long.